everyone! Today I'm going to show you around my art room. This is where all my creative magic happens, right here in this 12 by 13 foot room. As you can see, it's packed with stuff, so I'm going to show you all my art supplies, my storage solutions, my workspace. But first, if you're new here, hi, I'm Tania, full-time artist for over 20 years. I do painting, drawing, digital art, mixed media, art for coloring books and puzzles, all kinds of art for licensing and publishing. Just about anything creative, I love doing it. I love making art. So if you can relate, you're in the right place, and we're gonna get along great. So I've been here in this space for about 9 years now, and this is actually the first dedicated art room I've ever had. Before this, I spent years painting on the wall in my childhood bedroom. I made art in an outdoor garden shed that was not only cramped, but it was also really cold all the time. I painted in a barren wooden shack, in an unfinished kitchen, outside on a folding table, basically on any table I could find. So now, having a whole entire art room feels like a true luxury, and I am so grateful to have this space. So let me show you around. Let's start here with my art desks, because this is my main work area. These are two identical tables from IKEA that I really like because they're long and wide, so they can fit a lot of stuff on them. They are meant to be dining tables, but they are perfect for art. This is what it looks like right now. I just wanted to show you an example of how it looks when I'm working on it. And usually it gets a lot more messy than this. This is actually pretty tame right now, but I'll just quickly tidy up this part so I can show you better. These are my stickers I've been meaning to stick on things, my planner, my toys. So back here, I've got all my Copics, some gel pens, my Hoo-Hoos. Here I have my paint markers, mostly Poscas and Montanas, and a bunch of other paint marker brands and some other pens. I store them in these handy trays, which keeps them really organized. I've got wooden ones here, 2 different kinds, and a bunch of these stackable black ones. And I'll post links to this stuff under the video. And so with these trays, I can easily see all the colors that I have and just grab what I need when I need it. So I've got plenty of space here to put out my art supplies. Then I've got this nice view out of the window when I need a mental break. And sometimes I see ducks out there, and pelicans, sandhill cranes, lots of squirrels and lizards, sometimes a turtle, sometimes a deer, which is really awesome when that happens. So it's just really nice and relaxing, and I am so grateful to have a view because I've never had one before. So the reason I prioritize putting all of my markers and paint pens up here is because for many years, I was making a lot of coloring books. I've probably drawn literally 1,000 coloring pages since 2011 when I first started. So I was mostly using alcohol markers and gel pens and paint pens to color them in. So it really helped to have all this stuff handy, just out and ready to use on a daily basis. So at the far end of this table, I've got some miscellaneous art supplies like paintbrushes and pencils, and rulers, scissors, some paper towels. It's a bit disorganized right now, so I do need to figure out some kind of better configuration at some point. And honestly, my life is like a constant tension between being organized versus being messy, because I really do want to be organized, but I think part of the creative process just involves getting messy. Since we're down here, let me show you these shelves. I bought them on Amazon and painted them these bright colors to match the vibe of my art room. And they hold a lot of handy stuff like erasers, pencil sharpeners, some painting mediums, crayons, just lots of little things. And these are little houses that I made. I really love them. They're blank houses, and I decorated them with paint, colored paper, felt, and gems. They're 2-sided, and I just love making stuff like this. It's so fun. Now moving on to my other desk, the main thing here is my computer, which I use for admin and digital art. And I've got all my little favorite toys underneath. I love them all because they're so cute and they make me happy. And I've got my to-do lists. I'm always making to-do lists and starting a new list before I finish the old one. So I end up with lots of little to-do lists. Here's my scanner. It has a lot of stuff on it, which isn't practical at all. but I love it. It's just inspiring to have all this fun, colorful stuff right in my line of sight when I'm sitting at my desk. If you haven't noticed, it's really important to me to have all these cute, fun, colorful knickknacks and objects around me for inspiration. I feel like being surrounded by this stuff really fuels my creativity and it makes me happy. It makes my art room really feel like me. And these are candles, by the way, scented candles, but I'm never gonna light them because I think they're so pretty. So whenever I need to scan, I remove all these items one by one, do my scanning, and then put them back one by one when I'm done. It is so impractical. My scanner is an Epson V600, by the way, and I've had it for years. Now back here, I've got more fun stuff, and here I've got some colored pencils. These are my extra ones. Some of them are really old. They say Beryl on them, and Beryl no longer owns the Prismacolor brand. They sold it back in the 90s, so that means these colored pencils are like 30 years old at least. And these are my Col-Erase colored pencils, which are erasable, so they are really great for sketching. Now to the left of my computer, this is a Wacom Cintiq, which I use for digital painting. And the reason it's collecting dust is because it died just a few days after the warranty ran out. And I contacted Wacom and it turns out it would be really expensive to fix it. So I am gonna get rid of it someday. But for now, I'm just leaning stuff on it. Moving on, I keep most of my stuff along this back wall in these IKEA shelves. And let me just move some of this stuff so I can show you better. And this is Lamington, by the way. You can watch me paint him in a previous video. And this is where I sit sometimes when I'm sketching or reading. It's pretty comfy, and sitting here gives me a whole different perspective on my art room. So it's just really good for a mini change of pace. So starting up here, I've got a drawing tablet, a palette, and some rocks for painting on, and Rainbow Brite and Sprite. In here, I have some old sketchbooks and notebooks and planners going back to my teen years in the 90s. Here's my sketchbook from 1998 when I visited India, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. I sketched this little dog on the beach in Sri Lanka, and I also made a painting of him. Below that, I've got a random collection of books that I find inspiring for various reasons. Like, I just really love the art in these retro children's books. They're just amazing. And down here, I have some of my own coloring books that I made. Next, I've got some craft paints and some unfinished art projects, like these paintings and this little hedgehog. It's actually a salt shaker, but I gessoed it and started painting it, and this is as far as I got. I have so many of these unfinished art projects lying around, and it's like the story of my life. And it's not that I stop liking what I'm working on, it's just that something new will come along and that'll be exciting, so that I'm off and running doing the new thing, and then the old thing gets left behind, and then I somehow never get back to it. And then the cycle just continues over and over again. Like, do you know what I mean? In this drawer, it's just tech stuff like cords. In this drawer, it's empty bags. For some reason, I thought they deserved their own drawer. And here I've got stuff to paint on, mostly wooden panels and shapes, wood slices, and some blank ceramics. I went through a phase where I was obsessed with the idea of painting on ceramics, so I bought a lot of them, which you can see in these other shelves too. And most of them, I have not gotten around to painting them. I start them, but I don't get very far, like this sugar skull. I think it's because my style is so detailed, so I can't do it all in one go. And so I'll work on it for a while, but then I'll set it aside, and then something else will come along, and then I never quite get back to it. So that's what happens with these mushrooms and this little frog. Someday though, fingers crossed, I'll get back to them. I also have a bunch of wood slices and rocks that I started painting, but same story. And this little wooden dinosaur, I wanted to paint him a sweater. I got really ambitious when I saw these blank teacups and saucers, so I bought 3 of them because they were on sale for $1.48. This was years ago and they are still sitting here, so someday. Oh, this is really cool. I found this at a thrift store. It's cardboard. It's a street of German buildings that you can color, and it's so cute. When I bought it, it had a sticker on the plastic packaging that said made in West Germany, so this was made before the wall came down. All right, now up here, I've got a bunch of acrylic painting mediums, some gesso, some spray varnishes, little paper dolls. then a sewing kit and some tape and push pins and other stuff for hanging art. Here's a mandala I made a few years ago, a bird that I started and haven't finished yet, a bunch of acrylic paints from Blick, Golden, Liquitex, Holbein. Most of these are matte paints, some are ink. And then here, more things I started and haven't finished. These are papier-mâché cacti, and these are wooden houses that I wanted to paint more detail on and then display them in a row like this and have it so you can flip them around and they'll have different colors on the other side. So it's another someday project. Next, we have some old sketchbooks and some lens cleaner. Then here, more stuff to paint on and some markers. And this pouch that has nothing in it right now, I just think it's really pretty. And here's a little miniature barista cart I got from Five Below. I just think it's really cute. And behind that, more markers. These are Artex, and over here, these are a Ohuhu. They come with these handy cases, which makes them easy to carry around the house or outside if I want to draw somewhere else. Up here, we have a whole bunch of sketchbooks. I love using different kinds of sketchbooks with different sizes and paper types. So I'll just jump from one sketchbook to another depending on whatever I feel like drawing that day. I like to decorate the covers sometimes, like this one. Let me show you some drawings in this one. So this is a Blackwing sketchbook. The paper is super thin and smooth. Here's a drawing I did earlier this year of my husband. And some other portraits I did. This is all in ballpoint pen. Here's a Copic sketchbook. This is actually a sticker of a colored pencil drawing I did of a rose. You can actually watch me draw this here on my YouTube channel. And here's an owl sketch that I did using Copic markers and Posca paint pens. And you can also watch my drawing process for this owl on my YouTube channel. So here's a sketch I made a few years ago that became this artwork here, which is also the cover of my Live for Today coloring book. I actually got a bunch of these sketchbooks from thrift stores, and it's pretty amazing what you can find sometimes. Like this is a Strathmore, Moleskine, Exacompta, Hahnemühle. All of these I found at thrift stores, which is actually really exciting when you find high quality art supplies like this at a thrift store and it's priced super cheap. This is a little sketchbook from Michaels, and I put a happy face patch on it. Only 2 drawings so far. Now this one is really mysterious. It looks like a really nice volume of Charles Dickens with the title Martin Chuzzlewit. It has this gold edge gilding, and you open it up and it has really nice end papers, and you turn the page and it's blank. The whole thing is blank. I mean, what is going on here? I can't even find a publisher or a manufacturer anywhere on this book. I looked all over it. So it's really strange. I don't know who made this or why. I wonder if maybe someone was learning how to bind books and they made this and it ended up at a thrift store or something. I don't know, but it's mine now and I think it's super cool, and I'm going to use it as a sketchbook because the paper feels pretty good quality. Haven't started it yet though. Over here, I have a bunch of paper pads, mostly alcohol marker pads and Bristol pads, bunch of different brands. And here are my tests I do on them to see how they do with different media and techniques. Whenever I get a new paper, I like to do tests like this and then keep it as a reference because every paper type is just a little bit different. Below here, this says paint markers and gel pens, but you can see that these are not paint markers and gel pens. So this label is outdated. I'd made these labels one time when I was feeling really organized and trying to be really organized, and it lasted a little while, but over time I just started moving things around, and now none of these labels are correct. Here are some more notebooks and sketchbooks. Some of them are pretty old. So this is a sketchbook I had about 10 years ago when my husband and I were digital nomads for a couple years. So I covered it with stickers from our travels. I got a lot of use out of this sketchbook. For instance, this sketch became the cover of my Good Vibes coloring book, which ended up being my most popular coloring book. I have a bunch of these wooden hardboards that I draw on top of. Here you can see how the markers bled through. This was a coloring page I designed for Michaels, and they turned the line art into a gift card. Here are some watercolor pads and canvas pads. Here's a little gouache doodle I made. This one's over 20 years old, just some doodles. And down here we have more markers and pens, a bunch of different brands. So in these shelves, I have these really handy paper holders, I guess they're called, paper trays. I have 5 of them in total, and they are so handy because they fit perfectly into these cube shelves. I got these paper trays at stores like TJ Maxx and HomeGoods for like 25 bucks, I think. I've got a lot of stuff crammed in this one. This is all drawing supplies, mostly colored pencils and some Neocolors and Inktense. This roll is really handy for organizing my extra luminance pencils. And this case has more Prismacolors. These are also my really old ones, so you can see how tiny some of them are. Below that, I've got paint markers, watercolors, pastel pencils, watercolor pencils, palettes, and more watercolors. Down here, new pastels, fine liners, a really old pastel set that I inherited, and some scrap paper, which you always need when you're an artist. This one has more paper, craft paper, construction paper, patterned paper. Some of this stuff I've had for decades, literally. And that's something I feel I should point out at this stage, is that this art room and all of the stuff that's in it, it's the culmination of like over 30 years of collecting stuff. I was 14 when I first started taking art seriously, and I'm 45 now, so that's 31 years of collecting art supplies. So that's why this art room has so much stuff in it. Plus I have trouble getting rid of stuff. Up here, I've got more paper, mostly colored pencil paper, black paper, brown paper, vellum, Bristol, some fixative, and more colored pencils in this pink case. Below that, I've got my washi tapes, which I think are so pretty, and just some miscellaneous stuff, like this painting I started in 2004 and never finished, pine cones from Colorado. Here I've got some watercolor pencils, a watercolor sketchbook, gouache, and some more watercolors. Below that, I have a stack of foam sheets. Now up here, I've got Dr. P.H. Martin's watercolors, and below that, some Bombay inks, and some round canvases, and a cutting mat. Down here, I have a bunch of blending stumps and sandpaper blocks. These are used to sharpen pencils, some little makeup brushes, which are really soft, so they're great for brushing off those little colored pencil particles that crumble off the end of the colored pencil when you're drawing. The bottom shelf has 3 archival boxes, which contain colored coloring pages, old art, and works in progress. The thing about making coloring books for over 10 years is I created a lot of drawings, and I can't hang them all around my room because I don't have enough space. So I store them in these archival boxes, and sometimes I'll rotate the art I do have on my walls because I do like these drawings, so I'd love to see them every day. So now let me show you these 2 storage carts on wheels. The wheels are handy, but I don't actually wheel them around, I just keep them right here. On top of this one, I have a tabletop easel that's just sitting here for now. I just like the art on this bag, so I put it here for now. Then I put this drawing in front of it because I didn't know where else to put the drawing. I have a tray here with some painted rocks, which I haven't finished yet, and this mandala that I painted on an old CD. And these drawers just hold various supplies, nothing really too exciting. Just stuff to paint on, and here's some pigments. On this other storage card is a little painting I made back in 2008. And this is one of my coloring book pages that I colored and gave it a border with washi tape and craft paper. Here are 2 toys from my childhood. I actually got this bat when I was a teenager, but the unicorn I had since I was 4 or 5 years old, and I used to play with it in bed before falling asleep, and I really loved it. And it's probably the only toy I have from when I was that young, so it really means a lot to me. And the rest of the stuff on top of this cart are all little things I painted with paint markers. Hanging here, I have a pin board with a bunch of cool pins I bought from different artists that I love. It's hanging here for now because I don't know where to put it, but I will find a place for it one of these days. So in these drawers, I've got more crafty stuff, like adhesive gems, beads, stickers, pom-poms, clay, and sculpting tools. That's about it. Oh, let me tell you about this artwork. This is actually a giant wall sticker of one of my coloring pages. Several years ago, I licensed my art to a sticker company, and this is one of the products they created. I think it's made of vinyl and it sticks directly to the wall. You can see I started painting it in with paint markers, but this is as far as I got, and I actually like how it looks like this, half finished. I like the contrast of vibrant color and the black and white. So this is one of those things that I actually don't plan on finishing one day. And speaking of storage carts, I have this white IKEA drawer unit on wheels. It's perfect for holding my acrylics. You can see they're mostly Liquitex, and it's actually an interesting story how I got these. So about 20 years ago, Liquitex had this contest for college students where you'd write a paragraph about an art project you wanted to create, and you would describe how you would plan to use Liquitex products in your art project. And every month they'd select a winner. And so I entered, and one month I won. And they sent me $1,000 worth of paint for free. And so that's how I got all of these Liquitex paints. So some of these bottles and tubes are really, really old, and some of them I bought new over the years. You can see other brands in here too. And it looks like a lot here, and it is, but of the Liquitex paint that I won, I did use up many of the bottles that they send. So it's mostly colors I don't use much that are left over, like these interference colors and metallics. Now here I've got some of my coloring posters, like this chimp from my Hippie Animals coloring book, not finished yet. Here are my 3D paints, my set of 150 Prismacolor colored pencils, on top of my Copic refills. And this is really interesting. This is a set of watercolors that I had when I was a teenager. So this is also from the 90s. It says made in West Germany. This is the paint palette that I used to create these two paintings when I was 17, senior in high school. So this is the palette that got me into watercolors, and it was really cheap, probably under $10 from Michaels, and I still have it. And you can see it's been well used. You can see my favorite colors because they're all used up. I guess I didn't like those colors much. And up here on this plastic part, this is where I mixed my paint. You can still see some of my old mixes there. I'm really glad I still have this, even though it's totally falling apart, because it's such an important part of my history. So it's just nice to have. And this is the watercolor palette I bought in college. It's another cheap palette, over 20 years old. And last drawer, just more refills and spare nibs. Now let's look inside my closet. But first, let me move this easel. I just got this year, so I don't really have a good place to put it yet. So I keep my closet doors open all the time just for easy access. And this is more storage. I have canvases and hardboards, a bunch of paintbrushes. Here are my crayons, all organized by color in these rolls. Some of my coloring calendars that I made a few years ago, marker cases. Here I store my color swatches for different brands. I keep them in here out of direct lighting, even away from indoor lighting, so that the colors will last longer. And I just pull them out whenever I need to use them and then put them back when I'm done. Here's a painting rag and another archival box with my art in it. And this tub contains years and years of sketches for my coloring books and calendars and other projects I worked on. Up here, my tub of yarn. And this cane was my dad's. He was a professional Santa in his later years, and he didn't actually need a cane, but he thought it would be a fun prop to have for his Santa gigs. And he got this idea to have Santa's head be at the top of the cane, with his hat being the part you grip. And he found a local craftsman to make it for him, and it turned out so well. He really loved it. My dad passed away over 15 years ago, and this is one of my favorite mementos of him. So I keep it up here, looking over my art room at all times. Right next to my closet, I have this strawberry stool, which has a pile of different sketchbooks on it. They're all so different. This one has colored paper. This one is bleed-proof marker paper. This one is a stone paper, which is really interesting, and I love that color, so retro. Along here, I have art by other artists whose work I really admire. And this unicorn is one that I painted. It was originally a blank ceramic that I painted and glued stuff onto. So let me show you more of my decor because that's also a big part of my art room. I think it's important for artists to surround themselves with inspiration and things that get our creative juices flowing. On either side of my window, I have these large nesting dolls that I designed. This one I put on the cover of my folk art coloring book, and I made this other one to go along with it. Framing the window, I've hung these Hmong textiles, which I really love for their colorful, detailed patterns. I just love the embroidery and beadwork. It's so detailed. These are actually several pieces that I safety pinned together to make them look like one piece that goes all the way up. And above the window is an Indian textile. I traveled to India in the late 90s and really loved it, especially all the art and handicrafts. Above the door, I have a clock with these paper flowers and butterflies all around it. On top of my shelves, I have a lot of stuff that I've collected over the years. All of this I find really inspiring. It's just fun to look at. And some of the stuff I made, like this tiny clay owl that I painted and this little sugar skull. This mug was a regular owl mug, but I spray painted it hot pink and painted on some details. This is a little punch needle flower design I made, my first ever punch needle project, which was really a lot of fun. Here's a llama I painted and decorated. This is a tiny sketchbook I bought in DC at the National Building Museum. It's super cute. Here's a mushroom I painted and some wooden Easter eggs I painted. I used paint markers for all these. Same with this fox face. And this was also originally a salt shaker. And this is a Posca painting. Here's a pumpkin you can actually watch me paint in one of my shorts. And I painted this face on this owl mug, also with paint markers. Same with this egg and this iguana creature. And this mushroom. I love how this turned out. It's so detailed. Here's a sugar skull I never finished. And back here is a painting I did over 20 years ago. And this doll I bought in India. Over here is a Christmas ornament I got in Australia, painted by an Aboriginal artist. And this is a kiwi luggage tag I got in New Zealand. I really like the art on this. This Oho I bought from a seller on Etsy, and I love it. This hot air balloon was a present from my mother-in-law, Lynn, and it's really whimsical having this up here, just floating as if it's in the sky. This tapestry was the cover of my 2019 It's All Good calendar, which was really fun to make. I made them for 3 years. And these are all coloring pages from my books and printables. And this huge owl tapestry is one of the owls in my Groovy Owls coloring book. I also felt like the floors needed a bit of color, so I bought these fun rugs, so even if I'm looking down, I get inspired. So I think that's about it. I hope you enjoyed checking out my art room because it was really awesome having you here. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, where we're just hanging out and chatting about art stuff, let me know. And in the meantime, if you want to see how I painted this lovely llama, then check out this video right here. So I hope you guys have an awesome day. Bye!